It's actually lovely to be here in person. I was the first person to receive my award virtually in the history of Forward Ladies, which was a great surprise last year, but I was absolutely gutted not to be in a room full of unstoppable women. So I've been thinking as I was coming today, unstoppable women are amazing, but what is it about us that makes us unstoppable? I remember I was doing science. I'm a civil engineer, and I was doing science and mathematics subjects, and I really thought I was going to follow a traditional line, go into medicine. In science and engineering year, the year I was in my lower sixth form, and I was lucky enough to go off to Queen Mary College. And at Queen Mary College, they had 12 different female engineers from all different branches of engineering. And they talked about the different engineering, mechanical, civil, chemical, aeronautical, unbelievable role models. And those were the women that pivoted me away from medicine and into engineering. And they were the role models, just as we in this room must all be the role models of the future, because we are all unstoppable women. But those unstoppable women started me off on my path. And off I went to university and did a degree in engineering. And hearing my career then gathered pace. I was lucky enough to enter a world where there were lots and lots of engineering projects. So I big project hop from one job to the next to the next. The Limehouse Link Tunnel, the Jubilee Line extension, and I ended up on High Speed 1, all the main jobs in London. And the reason I moved was one thing that makes a woman unstoppable, or can make her stoppable, is if someone else seeks to define her. So every time someone said, oh, Louise is ever so good at doing this job down here, I thought, I've either got to change these people's minds or I'm going to do that job over there. So I moved from job to job. The other thing that propels us forward as unstoppable women is not only to know what we're doing today, but to look to the horizon and say, what is the goal? And I had a goal that I wanted from very early on in my career to run a whole project myself. Now, these figures all sound big, but it is civil engineering. So I thought the first time this would happen, I might run a job that was about 2 million, 5 million. On High Speed 1, I ended up running my first job. So at 35, I ran a significant section of High Speed 1 worth nearly £2 million. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. I was really on a roll here. I absolutely loved it. I was unstoppable. But there's something weird when you achieve your goal and you go, well, what do I do next? And I've always been a great one. One of the things that makes us unstoppable is to have our metaphorical suitcase full of training and qualifications and skills and experiences. So I thought, well, what am I going to do next? So I went to the company I work for. I didn't move this time. I said, you're an international company. You know what? Get me a job internationally. So off I went to Romania, where we were building a 415-kilometre road. I ran half the project, and for the first time in my career, through merit on hiring, I had an all-female team. In the world of civil engineering, it's never happened before, it's never happened since. In terms of these unstoppable women in my team, amazingly educated Romanian and Hungarian women, brilliant engineers, multilingual. Most of them spoke 5 languages, off the charts, all those women. I won the Mentor of the Year category last year, and part of it was those women that I worked with back in Romania in the noughties are now working internationally, globally, all over the world in different jobs, creating different infrastructure for the benefit of society. So that was really exciting. Anyway, I came back from Romania, and at this point, like I'm a freight train going so fast, I'm unstoppable. I come back and I think, that was really interesting what I did in Romania. I wonder if I can do that in the UK. So I found a company that did the sort of work with direct hire labour. And normally what you'd do is you'd say, oh, have they got any jobs going? No. What I did, I rung them up and I said, I want to come and work for you. And you would often think that they would have gone, no, I don't think so. But they actually went, okay. And a weird quirk of fate that I joined them to do a certain set of work, and it's good to be lucky as well as, work really hard. And they said, we're doing a little bid. And the bid that they were doing was to be the delivery partner to the Olympic Delivery Authority on the London 2012 Olympic Games. And I became part of that bid team. And that bid team led to us winning the commission, and I spent the next 6 years managing. Can you imagine, as a civil engineer and a huge sports fan, I was working on managing all the civil engineering on the London 2012 Olympic Park. £2 billion worth of work, 2 million cubic metres of muck shift, 300 kilometres of utility ducts, a new energy centre, all the landscaping on the park. It was really exciting. But again, I'd stepped over my goal. So where was this freight train going? So I did another pivot. And we were hearing some of the personal stories earlier, Joanne's story. So I decided, I'm in my 40s at this point, and I thought, well, have I given up on having a family? And luckily, there are amazing embryologists now, and luckily, I did. Well, hats off to anyone who's done IVF, and I did IVF for the last 2 years I was working on the Olympic Park. We handed the Olympic Park over to LOCOG for the Olympic Games, and 2 weeks later I gave birth to twin girls. Definitely worthy of applause, because it's just the best thing I've ever done. They're amazing. So anyway, there's me, I'm on my freight train, I'm thinking, what am I doing now? I did take a year out to be with the girls, I absolutely love being a mum. But the brilliant thing was I was in a position as an older mum to sort of change the paradigm. So people started calling and saying, will you do these jobs for us? And I said, yeah, but I'll do them part-time. So quite senior roles, and I was changing the dynamic in the construction industry so that I could do these roles part-time, and hopefully knocking down a few walls to help the women coming through in the same way. Everything was going great, and this is my main message for you today, you amazing, unbelievable, unstoppable women. So my daughters are 3.5, and it's a Saturday morning. My partner of 25 years dies of a heart attack. I'm not a freight train anymore. I'm not going at speed. All the barriers come down. And I'm on my own and I'm stopped. And you know what? It's all right as unstoppable women to stop for a moment. And luckily, because I'm a civil engineer, I'm a problem solver. So I said, what am I going to do? Got 3.5-year-old twin daughters, I'm on my own, still need to bring in an income, still want a career. So what I did was, I decided that I was going to be both parents to my daughters. And to do that, I needed time. To have time, I couldn't do my executive job anymore. So I quit my executive job and I went back to a salary of about 15 grand a year. And I bet on myself to build a non-exec portfolio that would work with bringing up my girls. Now, that pivot and that paradigm shift has been amazing because I worked my way up through public sector boards into Ames List and 250, and now sit often as the only woman on some of these engineering boards, but on some of the biggest engineering companies, so the Balfour Beatties, the 8 billion turnover companies. And it's really exciting and it's really magical. And I can spread my message of loving STEM and STEM careers. And the question I get asked the most, and this is what I want you to take away from today, is people say, how did you overcome that? How did you move forward? And the answer was, I didn't. 2 little hands reached out to me. And they picked me up, the hands of my daughters, and they took me forward. Because they were full of life and joy and love and loss and laughter, and they needed me. And actually, what makes us all unstoppable, all you amazing women in here, is not just ourselves, it's all the people around us. It's the time we knock down a barrier and we turn around and say, come through the gap with me. or the time as an unstoppable woman you reach backwards and you pull someone forward to go with you. And that's what makes us, as a group, amazing and unstoppable.